he comes to me and says, "Do you mind sitting on the other side? Not next to me. Why don't you want me to sit here next to you when I am the person who is leading the situation here?"
What was going through your head that made you comply?
It's about evolution. What they try to take away, job loss, demotions, whatever, stunted growth, whatever it may be, titles, all that stuff. Okay, but then you focus on your core strengths, your resilience, your relationship building, being adaptable, strategic thinking. Those are the things that have helped me to get to where I am right now, and I'm thriving.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Coffee No Cream podcast. My name is Erin Braxton and I'm the host of Coffee No Cream. Here on Coffee No Cream, we are unapologetically dedicated to Black women, and we share what I like to call Coffee No Cream moments, those things that happen to us Black women in business and in life just because we are Black women. Now, today I have a really, really special treat. I have Tashun Bowden-Lewis, and Tashun she's just like a really good energy, the sweetest thing. Formerly a public defender, so she went from law to her own consulting business, but she did it in her own way. We've been talking about finding value and how to find your value, how to extract that out of all of the things that you do, what it is that makes you. And we have that conversation. Now, she's soft-spoken, she's super sweet, she coaches, she consults, but don't let that sweet voice fool you. She's got a lot of powerful things to say, a lot of really good advice. And I think you're going to really enjoy it. So stay to the end, watch it all the way through if you can. Before we get into it, I want to ask you guys to please like, please share, please subscribe. Just hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you'll be notified that, the video's up when they come up. Make sure you hype it up if you have that available to you as well. Facebook group link is below. We've got free resources, almost 2,000, coffeenocream.com/free. And that is it. That's all of the housekeeping. So let's get straight into the episode. So welcome to Tashun. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm fine. Erin, how are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to have you here. I can't wait for you to share your Coffee No Cream moment and your experiences with everyone. So let me just turn it over to you and so you can let the people know what it is that you do.
Oh, of course. Well, hello again, everyone. My name is Tashun Bowden-Lewis, and I'm an attorney by trade. And I've been in public defense for almost 30 years. But recently, a few years ago, I had to pivot. I had to change. And so I now have my own business, the Bowden-Lewis Consulting Group, and I do consulting, leadership development, workshop facilitation, executive and personal coaching, and those are the things that I'm doing now that I really love. But I always I'm not an attorney, I will have that heart with me, but that's what I'm doing now.
So are you still practicing law, or no, that's done?
Well, no, I'm still barred, but no,
Okay.
I'm not practicing. I'm not in a courtroom anymore. People call me, but no, I'm not. I help them with best practices in my consultations, that kind of a thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So let's just not waste any time. I'm going to turn it over to Tashun and have her give us her Coffee No Cream moment. Those of you who are joining us for the first time, Coffee No Cream moments are those things that happen to us Black women in business and in life just because we are Black women. So Tashun, please share with us one of your Coffee No Cream moments. We know there's many, but the one that comes to mind when asked the question.
Yes. When I was at the highest level, pretty much in my sector, in my field, there's always, board meetings of that nature. And so in our board meetings, I'm the only Black woman in the room. and I'm the only one who has that ranking. And so it was in a U-shaped kind of situation with the tables. So I'm in the head of the middle of the U with the person who is presiding over the meeting at that time, white male. And so the first meeting is fine, it goes smoothly. But the second meeting, he comes to me and says, "Do you mind sitting on the other side?" And first I was taken aback, and I'm thinking, I said, what did you mean the other side? Not next to me, but on another chair on the other side of that U shape. So not in the front anymore, but on the one of the sides.
If this is the U, I wonder if I could draw this on the screen. So he was at the top of the U.
With me originally,
Right.
yes.
And he wanted you to be on the side of the
Yes.
U. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And that took me back. And I was I was shocked because again, I'm the person who is in leadership, and so I did, and but that was something that was very jarring to me, and it all kinds of things went through my head and through my psyche because I'm thinking, why don't you want me to sit here next to you when I am the person who is leading the situation here?
So leading the meeting and leadership at the organization, because what is his role compared to like your role?
Right. He was actually leading that meeting, but I'm leading the organization. And so as we're the top two people there. So
Okay.
then I should be sitting right next to you because questions are going to be fielded and I have to, give reports and say certain things and that kind of a thing. And so since I'm in leadership over the organization, I should have been sitting right there next to you.
So is this at a law firm?
No, it was at, so I did, it wasn't a law firm. I was a part of an agency, and it was kind of a private situation, a private agency, but it was there were other lawyers who were there. There were other people that were there, but again, ranking wise, it should have been myself and him. Because if you have in any kind of organization, you have a presiding officer who's over some sort of a board or something like that, and then you have the president or CEO who's a person who is leading and executing, and that was my role. And
Okay.
so everyone was aware of who I was and what I was doing. But by that shift, that visual shift, and it changes everything because now why is she not sitting up there and why is she not in the forefront since she definitely is leading. So yeah.
So you said you were shocked. Okay, I know it took you aback. I know you were like, what is he doing?
Yes.
And I just want to try to see if I can ask you what was going through your head that made you comply.
Yeah. Well, at the time, it was the beginning of the meeting, and I didn't want to have any kind of dispute at that
Right.
point. We were beginning the meeting. People, I'm as the head of anything, everything trickles down from the head. So my example is very important. And of course, all eyes are on me. So if I was going to say what was really on my mind at that point, it would have led to a serious argument. And it would have been something where then it would shift from the business to a one-on-one situation of power dynamics. And I didn't want that. My people are in the room, and I need for them to see that I can address issues with poise, and I can also move through situations without having it rattle what I have to do. Because I'm still going to do my reporting, answer my questions, do what I have to do. So it was important for me to lead by example. And after the meeting, of course, we had conversations, but during that time, it was jarring, and I wanted to make sure, though, that as a leader, that they see me being calm under pressure and not having some sort of banter that would have been divisive at the time. We had to take care of business.
How long had you been at the organization when this happened?
Years. But I'm not in that role. Now, in
Okay.
that role, it had been 1 year.
And how long had this guy been there?
Um, 2 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happened after that? Like, what did you do? Like, did
Yeah.
you confront him? Did you guys have to have the conversation?
So once everything was over and done, everybody kind of got up quickly, including him. So at that moment in time, we were not able to have the discussion.
Right.
But we did have a discussion later on. And it was just, it was just about, it was kind of poo-pooing it. There wasn't anything, that meant to make you feel a certain kind of way.
Wait a
It was
minute. No,
just,
no, no. No. What did you say? You
what did
know?
I say?
Yeah, what did you say? And then what
Yeah.
did he say? Yeah.
Okay, got it. I said, why did you ask me to move? And he said, I just thought that it would just be easier because I had so much stuff I had to do with paperwork and I needed to make sure that I had things together. And so I just asked you to move. And I said, but and based on my position, I should have been there next to you. And that shows solidarity. That shows cooperation and collaboration. Oh, well, that's still able to be seen if you're sitting someplace else. And so at that point, then I started taking notes about the behavior. That was my key right there. Because if he's going to have those kind of responses, then that means he's not even trying to hear what I'm trying to say. So I
Right.
started documenting at that point what was going on.
So is he your subordinate,
No,
technically?
no, he would not be my subordinate, but it would be more so in that structure. He would be over me. He's over me, and then I'm over everybody else.
Okay. Uh. So, okay, so you start documenting, you've said something, you've approached him. Did you just went to his office and said, "Hey, can we talk?" Okay. And, you have the conversation. He's, dismissing it. And I want to go back though to and I'm not saying this in a negative way because we all do this. Like, I was just talking to somebody about this, and there's been times in our lives where we shrink back. You know what I'm saying? We don't, we already feel sort of like the imposter, and we're in the situation, we've been given the role, we're in the room, and then somebody does something like that to you. And it just kind of, it all comes up. So we don't always respond the way we would have liked. I mean, in your situation,
Yeah.
you didn't want to, cause a scene in the meeting or anything
Yes.
like that. And, I mean, you could have just said no, and just stayed there.
Yeah.
But,
Yes.
but what were you were you feeling, was that part of it? Because, I think it's so common, and a lot of people, we're talking about things like that more now, but I know I felt it. I still struggle with it,
For me, I never had imposter syndrome. I always knew I was supposed to be in the room, and I still do. And I always know my value, my worth. It's about trying to be, for me, trying to keep as much peace as possible, especially in those kind of settings. Like if it was one-on-one, it would have been different for me. But because there were other people in the room that are counting on me, my thought process was, let me just handle it in this way and then move forward after the fact. But I felt dismissed. I felt like you're trying to make it seem as if I'm not worthy to be right here next to you in this position and in this situation. And so then, of course, my antenna go up because now I'm making sure I'm watching what you do and how you and what you say to me, because we have to understand that it's about respect. And if it's not given, then I'm going to command it because I know who I am and what I'm supposed to be doing. There's no ifs, ands, or buts in my mind about me, my credentials, my characteristics, and what I bring when I enter a room.
Right. So how did it play out ultimately?
It ultimately got more contentious. It did. It never kind of became okay.
Yeah.
And we never had a good relationship. We just never did. And it's unfortunate because, again, you'd want that. You'd want to have a situation where it is a situation that can be resolved and people can at least have a modicum of respect. And but it didn't work out that way. It just didn't. So it never became something that we could overcome. It never became something that was palpable. It was not. Yeah.
How long did you last at that organization before you left?
A couple of years, just a couple of years.
And he was still in the position when you left?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have any more similar run-ins like that with him?
On different levels. And so it would be, again, questioning my decision making, things like that. And so it would be different kinds of microaggressions and situations like that. And so instead of me shrinking, I get bigger.
Yeah.
I get bolder. I'm going to
Okay.
say even more. I'm going to do even more, because especially when I know what I am capable of doing.
Give
And I'm
us
not
an
going to let.
example.
Sure. I'm going to I still made sure that I was a leader. And I still made sure that I was making sure that I was visible, that my voice was heard, my direct reports came to me, those kinds of things. And so, I think in some people's minds, especially when they are not the same, that they think that if they do something that you're going to just kind of pull back and
Yeah.
you're going to withdraw, and so it's easier for you to be erased, even though erasure is not always necessarily, because it's about reframing that, right?
Right.
And you move forward. But for me, I was not going to let that happen. I was going to still be Tashun and still be leading and still be vocal and visual, because that's who I am. And I'm there to do a job, no matter who is going to be, pressing on me or making me feel a certain kind of way.
I just, it's just so interesting because he came in, he had been there for a couple months, but he was technically your superior. And, that must have been uncomfortable, I would say, for the remaining couple years that you were there. Was this person in charge of like reviewing you or any of that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. But even with that, I always say that I'm going to be my authentic self, and because I know what I'm doing and I know that I'm doing it well.
Right.
So when it comes to reviews and evaluations, there's nothing you can write down there that you can say that I'm not doing my job, because I am doing my job. You know what I mean? And me being who I am and being vocal and being visual, that's who I am. That's who was hired, and that's who I'm going to be.
Right.
You know?
So how did you get into doing your own consulting? How did that happen?
Yeah. Actually, I was the chief public defender for the state of Connecticut, and I was terminated from that position. So at that point, I had to pivot. And so I did what I would call a strategic pause, and I started assessing my strengths. what is it that I can do? Because one thing my grandmother used to always tell me was, they can take anything away from you except what's in your mind.
Yep.
Get your education.
Yep.
If you got that, whether it's money, titles, houses, clothes, whatever,
Right.
but you can always rebuild it back. And I was steadfast in that. And of course, and I'm a spiritual person. So also I have my peace and my grounding and my beliefs. And so with those two things, I was able to move forward and position myself, reframe the crisis, I'll say, to one of preparation. And that's what I encourage people to do. And it's worked out. It's worked out in many, many ways. I am grateful that I have the mind that I have, and I was able to rebound without losing my values, without with really embracing who I am. Because Tashun has not changed, not one bit. Not one bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what I implore other people to do, to find that, erasure is not necessarily, it's about evolution.
Yeah.
That's what it is for me, because I'm constantly evolving,
Oh, yeah.
whether I stay in that one place or not. And so what they try to take away, job loss, demotions, whatever, stunted growth, whatever it may be,
Yeah.
titles, all that stuff. Okay. But then you focus on your core strengths, your resilience, your relationship building, being adaptable, strategic thinking. Those are the things that have helped me to get to where I am right now. And I'm thriving. I'm so grateful. I'm blessed. And I'm unstoppable.
I want to talk about, because we've been talking about this on the podcast a lot, just it's come up, and with different people, it comes up in different ways. This assessment that you did, you took of what you have to offer. Can you talk about that? Because, it's so hard for some of us to see ourselves and what all we have to bring to the table. It's so hard for us to see the value. I talked about exercises with AI that can help you see from a neutral perspective, like, this is what I bring to the table. And most people got it. Somebody in the comments, like, it's not there to help us feel good. Well, sometimes, it's not about looking for it to help you feel good, but it can help you see things differently, right? So how do you, and I'm sure when you did this, I don't know when you did this, that might not have been the tool or a tool, but how did you go about this assessment of of what you had to bring to the table for yourself? Because everybody will go about this a different way. I can only say what I've done,
Sure. It was very intentional. And so taking like 2 to 3 days to pause, again, being strategic, right? And assess at that point in time, devoid of emotion. Because, at that point, of course, you're upset. Things seem crazy. I have a household to maintain, that kind of thing. I have bills to pay, that kind of stuff, right? And so, but then stabilize myself. And then really focus on protecting my well-being. So that means my own self-care. And I had a very good friend of mine. I've known him for many years, who's also been just a spiritual partner for me, pouring into me to remind me really who I am, and my faith base. That was critical as well too, because Erin, throughout that process, I had peace. And that's hard to achieve, but I had peace because I remembered that I am the head and not the tail. And that no matter what is done, I am still going to be able to overcome, So it was about taking a couple of days. And then I had to position myself for growth by thinking about, okay, what are my top priorities? What are my core strengths, really? And what can I use in order to get myself back in the game? And so that is what I thought about. Because as an attorney, I do more than just go to court. So I'm I am a counselor sometimes. I'm a mom sometimes to clients. I'm the pastor. I am the confidant. So that's I was already doing coaching, but not putting a name to it, right? Because I was helping people to see for themselves what was really in them, so they could have transformative epiphanies about, okay, this is what I can do,
Right.
and then consulting, right? That's always been a part of it too, because I've always been out in the communities. I've always been helping other people. And so those were my natural things that I was doing. So, you know what? Let's make this to my business. I can do this. Now, I also went to get certified
Okay.
for my coaching. I was able to, do some more learning, because, we should always be a continual learner. And with that, meeting more people, and then tapping into my networks of who I knew, who knew me for who I really was, and saying, hey, this is what I have, this is what I'm doing. And if you're not able to help, you know somebody else who can. You know what I mean? So if
Yeah.
it doesn't just stop with you, who do you know that you could talk about to shun to? That kind of a thing.
And so the
So,
clients started to come in.
yeah, and so my adversity that happened was exposure. It wasn't really erasure, it was exposure, because I opened up for me my core strengths. It solidified who I am. I can maintain my peace because I paused, and then I went to work and used my natural God-given abilities to do what was important for me. And now I'm still a boss, but I'm a boss with no restrictions. I have the autonomy.
I like what you said, like your natural God given ability. I
Yeah.
think right now we're so busy trying to be like everyone else. And when
Yes.
you don't succeed in that, it's a failure. Not you're a failure. That thing is a failure. And then you feel like a failure. And it prevents you from wanting to try, again, right? So it's all about really figuring out yourself, like truly
Yes.
who you are. When on my first business, when I had my clothing line, I feel like I was trying to be like everyone else. And I've
Yeah.
talked about this. I had this clothing line, and I just insisted on trying to be and do it like everyone else. And it failed. And I should have just done what I wanted to do. I mean, it's so clear now, right? So, yeah, I think it's really hard. I and I don't mean to get on to younger people because I was young once, right?
All of us.
And I just, certain things I just didn't get until I got it, right? And, that trying to be like other people thing is a big one, and just recognizing, being different is actually the flex, right?
Right. 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 And embracing who you are, because our self-worth is not attached to titles. It's not attached to what the next thing on TikTok is. Our self-worth is within us. It is our constitution, our foundation. So identifying our own values, our strengths is critical. And remembering that our lived experience, there's nothing that can put a price tag on that. Nothing at all.
Yeah.
So it's not credentials, or position. It's about your confidence. It's about your confidence across the different seasons of our lives, because we have different seasons. We know one thing for sure: seasons change. So what are we supposed to do? We're supposed to take what we have, no matter what the pressure is, whatever has happened, and change along with it. Knowing, again, sticking to who we are and knowing exactly what we bring to the table. And when we enter the room, into the room, we're bringing legacy, power, we're bringing priority, we're bringing perseverance, all of that, you know?
Yeah. And 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 really, okay, so the confidence, you said something. Confidence comes from the doing. It doesn't come from just being. You can't just conjure up confidence, in my opinion. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
so the more you do it, the more
Mm-hmm.
confidence you have, right?
Yes. Yes.
Um, and another thing you were saying is like, even with this podcast, like I have met so many amazing Black women. It is just
Yeah.
like, oh my God, I feel like I'm not, like there's wonderful women here in St. Louis where I am, but I feel like
Mm-hmm.
I've opened myself up to the world, not
Yeah.
just because I'm trying to get a message out, but because I get to connect with so
Yeah.
many people and everybody I meet. These women are so beautiful and amazing, and
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
each have like something different to bring, and you're just like, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and the fun part about it is I had no idea, wouldn't have thought about that. Like the way we all think differently is
Yes.
it's just the best. Right. So,
It is truly phenomenal, right? For Maya, Angela, phenomenal and unique. That's what's beautiful. The
yes,
uniqueness,
yes.
My strength may be your weakness, vice versa, but boy,
And
it's
own
all
it.
good.
Listen,
Yes.
I suck at this. This is not my strong point here. I don't do this well, but I could do that,
Mhm.
and
Yes.
don't hate on those who can,
Yeah.
figure
Yes.
out what it is you can do. Figure that out, because even, sitting up on a platform such as this, people, the haters, they just come out, they're just
Yeah.
on the keyboard,
Yeah.
like, what is wrong with you? Like, while
Yeah.
you're using all of that energy, figure out what you could be doing, right? And I feel
Mhm.
like once you find your thing, that kind
Yeah.
of just goes away,
Yes.
Well, it
Yes.
probably comes up every now and then. I mean, we all have to work on what we have to work on, but I tell you,
Mm-hmm.
being able to just really, and I say this sometimes because you remember when Oprah was like, "What is your purpose? You've got to find your purpose." I think Oprah messed a lot of people up with that. I do, because we're looking for this big like aha moment, like we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna just, oh my God, like, oh, this is what I meant to do, this whole big huge thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not necessarily about that. It's just
Mm-hmm.
like, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not discovered like that. She didn't
Yeah.
mean it, but she's just
Mm-hmm.
doing Oprah, and we're all like, what is my purpose? I don't know what my purpose is. And we're all
Yeah.
confused, running around here trying to grab a purpose, right?
Yes, I hear you. Yes, I do. And I think it
So,
should be grabbing your peace. To
yeah,
me,
yeah.
that mental calmness, because when you're at that place, creativity flourishes.
Flows. Oh my God, I've talked
You
about
know,
this.
yes, your judgment is strengthened and fortified.
Mm-hmm.
Your presence is increased. I mean, it leads to clear decision making and that your confidence, you have stronger influence. So it's about that peace to me. That's the real enhancer for most of us. The peace. You find that you can you can pave your own road. You can.
And I've even said, go find something creative to do. Just
Yeah.
find something to do so
Yeah.
you can think, so you can
Hmm.
get your mind off of, like, it's an escape. So
Hmm.
ideas flow to you about
Hmm.
whatever's going on in your
Yeah.
life, right?
Yes.
So, and
Hmm.
it sounds like you've been able to do that with your business. I love how you did the assessment and realized, you know,
Hmm.
I'm the one people like to talk to. I give
Yes.
advice in this nurturing way, it sounds
Hmm.
like.
Yes.
And because of that, I should be a consultant. But then you
Yes.
went out and you got what you needed as far as like,
Yes.
the qualification or the certification. But
Hmm.
then you use that to support you
Hmm.
on the strength of your legal background,
Yes.
and
Yes.
that's how you're finding your way, right? As
Hmm.
opposed to just like, oh, they're doing that, so I should do that, or I should do that, which is founded and grounded in nothing, which is what a lot of people are out here doing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just love that, because I think really Black women need, we're just the most creative. We know this, right?
Yes. Yes.
We everything we touch, what we bring
Yes.
to it is unmatchable, right?
That's right. That's right.
Um, I think though that a lot of us are still struggling with, we've been beat down, we've been conditioned, we've been, you know, uh, conditioned even to think small, to be small, to play small, to pull
Yes.
back, and not because anybody's trying to, not, well, sometimes even when our family does it to us, it's out of love, it's out of concern, it's out of protection.
Yes.
But I think a lot of that is so in us that we don't dare to imagine what's possible.
Gosh, when you said that, Aaron, I thought about the new Jill Scott album,
I
right?
still have not listened. I am
Oh my
so
gosh.
sorry. Okay, okay, I'm gonna
Oh,
listen. I'm gonna go
yes.
listen.
Yes, there's one song in there called Be Great.
Uh-huh.
And it has this trombone shorty is in the background. You know how, it just has a thumping beat, and
Uh-huh.
she
Uh-huh.
says, why not?
Why not?
Be great. Why not? Why not? Why not? I was like, Jill, you just said that. Okay,
Yeah.
because it's true. There is nothing stopping us but us. You know what I mean? Yes. Now, let's be real. Yes, there are forces out there. There are people out there
Sure.
that are trying to actively destroy, seek, kill, and destroy, right? Or to stop your progress and
Yeah.
trying to do that kind of stuff. But when you know who you are and you bask in your abilities and you put that out there, even when there are obstacles in the road and there are things that are thrown in your path that make you pivot, there's power in that. Because then you go to what is the next thing and you make that great.
And when you can find your way out of those situations, when you can use your brain, you're clever, you can maneuver, you learn how to like kind of like bob and weave, and okay, they've closed this door, let me get it this way. When you learn that, that's like oh, it's just that's I don't want to say it's skill building, but it's confidence building in a way that I can't even explain, right? So somebody just like closes a door on you. So, okay, there's,
Right.
how can I go around the
Yes.
building? You know what I'm saying? How can I do something different? You know, and then too, the it's the older you get, you just realize how ridiculous people are, right? And the the gatekeeping and
Oh gosh. Yes.
all the things that people try to do, you can look at it and be like, that is not an obstacle. Okay?
Right.
That is just
That's right.
that combined with like, I don't know, TikTok, the internet. Somebody's got a way, right? That maybe you didn't think about, right?
Yes.
And you just have to figure out how to find your way through.
Yes.
I
Yes.
I look at people sometimes, and you get around people who have supposedly made it. Obama talks about that when he was at the table with all the world leaders. And Michelle Obama talked about that, I think, when she got to Harvard. And I heard another creator talk about that. You get there, and this is supposed to be the cream of the crop. And then you're looking around like, oh wow, okay. And I've felt like that on certain levels. Like you meet people and you're
Yes.
impressed because they have whatever you think you want,
Uh-huh.
and then you're like, oh, okay. It's just like, oh, you're
Yes.
you're just as messed up, if not more, than I am, or you have the same problem I have. So just really looking at people as human, as opposed to
Yes.
looking at them as, putting them up on some sort of platform, deifying them, the role, the position, the thing.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. And then thinking about too for some of those folks, what they had to do or give up to get where they are. You
Yeah.
know, we all have to have our value system, right? There's some things that we just are not going to do. But for some people, they don't have that. They don't have those boundaries. They're going to do whatever it takes to get what they feel is the ultimate end goal.
Yeah.
That's why you have to know who you are.
Right.
You got to walk in that thing, and you have to walk in it victoriously, so that the gatekeeper is there. There's another door. There's another
Yeah.
door, and there's another door after that one too. You know what I mean? It for it builds resiliency, and and I believe that resilience is something that's innate for us, right? We have had to keep going and find another way,
Right.
in order to be able to be right here, right now. Our ancestors have done so much for us, and now we have to do so much more for the next generation, so that letting them see that confidence, that making strategic moves that are in alignment with who you are and what you stand for is going to push the envelope, not just because you have, your MBA, or not just because, you are affiliated with a certain person.
Talk about the values, because we talked about knowing your value. That's one thing. But you brought it up twice, and I wanted to touch on it, and I'm you brought it up again. And being in alignment with your values for whatever it is you choose to do. Can you speak about that a little bit more?
Definitely. That's where that self-assessment comes in, that strategic thinking comes in. Because in that time I told you earlier about the couple of days where I had to just separate the emotion and distraction and get down to, okay, who I am and what I am able to do. That feeds into what I believe and what I'm willing to do, and what is going to allow me, what decision I make will allow me to just sleep well at night. You know
Right.
what I mean? And
Right.
and knowing that I'm not going to sacrifice who I am and what I believe in and what I stand for anything, any amount of money, or for any position or title. Because those things are going to come naturally when you're working in and moving in alignment. You see what I'm
It's true.
saying?
Yeah.
That stuff, the energy you put out is going to come right back to you. So value means, what do I feel is most important for me? For me. In that season of my life. Because sometimes values shift too. You know?
So, give us an example of like one of your values that you wanted in alignment with your consulting business.
Transparency.
Okay.
I'm a big person on letting you know this is what I think, and this is what I see. And so, of course, there are times you have to sometimes weigh, like when you're going to say certain things.
Sure.
But the point is that you have to say it, and you got to stand 10 toes down behind it. Okay,
Right,
you
right,
know what I
right,
mean?
right.
And so, and of course, the person who's receiving it doesn't have to always agree with you. But if it's about transforming and moving forward and pivoting with power, then you've got to be able to deal with the reality and the facts. Facts, not emotion, not, oh my goodness, how could you think this or say this? No, you said this. No, why? Because what is this preparing me for? It's not about, oh my goodness, why is this happening? It's about, what is this preparing me for? What can I take what has happened, reframe that, and shift myself forward for my preparation period now? It's the mindset. Yeah.
So, you being transparent with your clients, them being transparent with you, there's no other way to get there, I guess. Yeah.
Yes. Growth and authenticity, right? Because we talked earlier about, having to shrink or having to do
Yeah.
something different. No, it's about standing in it. And sometimes whatever it is uncomfortable, it makes you off kilter sometimes, but you find your way because you know, again, you focus on who you are, what's important to you. And you've already done the work because you've had your strategic sessions. And
Right.
it's plural, it's sessions, it's not just once, right?
Yes.
It happens over time because things come at you at different times. You know, that's that's it key. It's key because it's growth. And all of it comes back to growth.
Right. Right. Yeah, the growth piece. I was talking to somebody the other day. She's like, "There's just so many things." She's young. I say young because she's like 31. It's like,
Okay.
she's
Yeah.
like, so many things. I just am trying to learn and I'm like, it's coming. It's coming.
It is.
I know we want to jump to Z, but we're not at 70. You're not at Z. Okay.
Right. Yes.
You're just not. You gotta. Like it's like when people say, "Oh, if I only knew then what I know now." I get it, but we got to go through what we got to go through.
Yes, we do. Yes, we
Yeah.
do. And we don't stop fighting.
No.
We have to, the fight does not end because you're fighting for peace. You're fighting for your redefined success, your health. You're
Yeah.
fighting for that, and for your identity to claim it and own it in every room. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. It's a never-ending sort of journey. Like we're constantly evolving.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. I said that to you earlier. I am evolving, and it's about evolving, the pivot,
And
even the first
enjoying
one.
the evolution, right?
Yes,
You know?
yes,
Like,
yes,
yeah.
yes, yes. The pivot is not about failure, it's about evolution.
Yeah, and it doesn't always feel good. Like, what did I hear this guy? Like, oh, when they say, whatever you went through to get here, when you're learning the lessons or whatever it is you're trying to get, it does feel like shit sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It doesn't feel good, but
yeah,
you can't give up because you've got to
right,
know.
right.
You've just got to know because this is the only way it is that it's going to be okay, right? And there's
It's,
something that's going to come out of that, right?
yes, yes. Ultimately, something good. It may not be initially, but ultimately, something good.
And it may take a minute, but
Yes,
I
yes.
find that when change is happening, sometimes we try to hold on to it so tight, and sometimes you just need to like let it go and just kind of lean into the change so that you're just not fighting against it because every time a door is slammed, people say our window is closed, all the things.
Yeah, yes.
All the anecdotes or the cliches and all this. And you're like, whatever. You don't hear that, but the old
Yes,
people were right. They would
yes.
say these things, and now you're like, I mean, so yeah, I know somebody who just recently lost their job, and I hope they don't. They're close to me, and I hope they don't spin themselves into a complete stroke. You know what I'm saying? But
Right,
it's like this is a good thing. Like you don't know it now, but
right.
we're very different the way we think. So yeah, sometimes when I've lost jobs, when I've lost clients, it hurts. It hurts your ego. It hurts
Of course, of course.
it hurts. You're rejected. All of the things, but you always end up in a better place.
Yes, you do. We're proof positive of that, Erin. Both of us, right?
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. Well, tell the people where they can find you because are you able your consult so you can consult like anywhere, like
Anywhere.
anywhere. You're not
Yep.
just okay. So
That's for
where can
sure.
people find you? Because like I feel like your style of working with people is very peaceful and nice. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you so much for that compliment. Yeah. So for my consulting and for my coaching, because I do personal and executive coaching
Yeah,
as well
yeah.
too. But I have a website. It's www.bowdenlewisgroup.com. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn as well too. And just look for the Bowden-Lewis Consulting Group or my name, Tashun Bowden-Lewis, either one of those, and it'll pull up. I'm always available and I love helping people. So,
Yeah, you can tell.
oh, thank you, thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, for real. So I do hope that people listen to the podcast and are inspired and have some hope, and know that others have done it and that they'll do it too.
Give us some examples of like individually how you work with people to help them so we know.
Sure. So there's initial consultation. So if you reach out to me, there's a virtual consultation, and we talk about, what's a good fit for you. What is it that you're trying to do? What is it that maybe a stumbling block? If you're in transition, right? Whether the transition is professionally, personally, it's okay. And then I talk to you about, okay, what would be the best thing? Coaching, which is again helping you to figure out for yourself what is your next step, your your next great move, and what's going to help you. Or consulting, where I could give you, actual lived experience advice about, okay, this is what has happened and this is what can happen, or a combination of the two. It could also be mentorship. It could be a situation where it's just someone to talk to because
Yeah.
there's no one else to talk to. Now, I'm not a therapist, no,
Right.
but I am someone who can help position for transformation.
Nice. Do you do any groups?
I do.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
I could be individual or groups as well too, or
Okay.
organizations. Like I did a workshop for an organization over the weekend. I build curriculum for different things, and I do workshops all the time as well too, and that could be virtual or in person. So yeah,
All right. Very, very good. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and
thank you.
sharing. I know, like you seem like very just warm and cozy and,
Well,
nurturing. Yeah.
thank you. I've heard that before, and I'm so grateful for that because the
Yeah.
world out here is cold, right? So,
I
so
know.
people sometimes you need someone who's objective, not a family member or even a close friend, to just
Yeah.
kind of get that kind of because energy
Yeah.
is everything. Energy is everything.
And a lot of people don't have it. So it's
Yes.
nice if you can find somebody. A lot of people don't,
Yeah.
they just don't have a person for that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm here, Erin. I'm here.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And
Thank
thank you
you.
guys so much for joining us as well. And check out Tashawn's information. I flashed it on the screen, but it's also in the notes, description, all that. And we will see you in the next episode.
Thank you.